As the world moves into the 21st century, natural gas has become an extremely viable fuel source as gasoline prices continue to skyrocket. The natural gas deposits that cover large portions of the U.S. have caused many companies to begin to harvest these deposits. The most commonly used method is hydraulic fracturing, or fracking. Fracking is a process by which highly pressurized water is injected into rocks deep underground in order to collect the natural gas inside. This water is mixed with many chemical additives, ranging from harmless chemicals like citric acid to neurotoxins like mercury. Unfortunately, the effects of fracking have not been researched adequately, but there are many alarming events that have been linked to fracking. The proposition that I will be arguing is that fracking will cause damage to the local environment. I'm going to show this through two main claims. One, that fracking has been shown to cause earthquakes, and two, that the harmful chemicals used in fracking can leak into the local water supplies. First, fracking has been determined to be the cause of many earthquakes across the nation. A 1986 study by Michael Feller found that long-period earthquakes, similar to earthquakes observed at volcanoes, were found to occur during 4 hydraulic fracturing experiments carried out in Fountain Hill, New Mexico. These earthquakes have not caused any damage, but long-period earthquakes can be extremely devastating. Fracking has also been the cause of over 100 earthquakes in the town of Youngstown, Ohio. A Grist article by John Upton states that earthquakes had never been recorded at Youngstown before 2010. Then, at the end of the year, frackers started pumping their waste from the Marcellus Shale drilling projects into the 9,200-foot deep North Star 1 injection well. Within 2 weeks, the area had experienced its first quake. From January 2011 to February 2012, the area was jangled by an average of nearly 12 earthquakes a month. Many of them were imperceptible to residents, but they grew in intensity over time and ranged up to a home-rattling magnitude 3.9 trembler on the final day of 2011. After the injection well fell into disuse, the string of earthquakes quickly tapered away. This shows a clear link between earthquakes and fracking. Similarly, wastewater from fracking has been determined to be the cause of many earthquakes, including a large earthquake in Oklahoma. According to an article by Michael Behar, the earthquake registered a magnitude 5.7, the largest ever recorded in Oklahoma. It injured 2 people, destroyed 14 homes, toppled headstones, closed schools, and was felt in 17 states. It was preceded by a 4.7 aftershock the morning prior, and followed by a 4.7 aftershock. Scientists investigating these anomalies are coming to the same conclusion. The quakes are linked to injection wells, and to most of them goes wastewater from hydraulic fracking. In addition, a study by the United States Geological Survey found that there has been an increase in earthquakes in the last few years. Wastewater associated with fracking has caused some, but not all of the induced earthquakes. Studies show that 1 to 3 magnitude 3.0 earthquakes or larger occurred yearly from 1975 to 2008, while the average grew to around 40 earthquakes per year from 2009 to mid-2013. This increase is worrying, with the average amount of earthquakes increasing more than tenfold in the last few years. Now that you can see the clear correlation between earthquakes and fracking, I'm going to show how harmful chemicals used in fracking can leak into local water supplies. In a 2011 study by the EPA, wastewater from fracking was found in water supplies around Pavilion, Wyoming. According to the study, pH values in 2 of the wells were highly alkaline, with a pH rating from 11.2 to 12, well above the average, which is 6.9 to 10. Potassium concentration was between 14 and 18 times the average, and chloride concentration was 18 times the average. The explanation best fitting the data for the deep monitoring wells is that constituents associated with hydraulic fracturing have been released into the drinking water aquifer at depths above the current production zone. Levels of dissolved methane in domestic wells generally increase in those wells in proximity to gas production wells. Additionally, an article with ProPublica.org states that the federal government is warning residents in Pavilion, Wyoming, not to drink their water, to use fans and ventilation when showering or washing clothes in order to avoid the risk of an explosion. And finally, a Duke University research found that water wells near fracking sites are contaminated. According to this study, out of 142 wells, methane was detected in 82% of the samples, with average concentration 6 times higher for homes within a kilometer of natural wells. Ethane was 23 times higher in homes within a kilometer, and propane was detected in 10 of the water wells, which were all within a kilometer of the drill sites. This is alarming, with extremely explosive chemicals found that can lead to carbon monoxide poisoning or suffocation. I hope that after hearing this information, you can see how fracking damages the local environment by causing earthquakes and contaminating water supplies. Thank you.
All right, Jason, organizationally, everything is great. The proposition's clear at the beginning. You've got a good layout of what the secondary points are. You signpost them as you get to each of those points. I thought that you did a good job explaining each of the points. On the earthquake argument, you build up your information. You've got some examples that you can point to. There's some statistical information that suggests increasing trends in certain areas. And then you've got another example toward the end that is linked to some potential harm. The conclusion about the level of risk, I think, is still a little bit iffy, but I did like the fact that you had some information suggesting a conclusion or a link between those particular points. The same is true on the contamination of the water, although I do think you need to explain a little bit more why methane, ethane, and propane in the water is dangerous. At the end, you make a reference to people dying from carbon monoxide poisoning or it being explosive. Do we have any examples of that? The one example that you had that you mentioned is Pavilion, Wyoming, where the people were advised to use other sources of water for a variety of things. I assume that there's a connection to fracking there, but I didn't hear it in the evidence that's being presented, so make sure that that's included in your argument. All right, thank you.